Thank you all for being part of this conversation. There's a lot of craziness going on in our country, and creating opportunity to come together in a spirit of unity and concern for where we're going in this world. It means a lot. So thank you.
And Judah, I don't know you, but nice to meet you. I'm glad you're here.
Very nice to meet you as well. Pleasure.
Kindred souls, kindred souls, similar energy. So I'm Dave Gold, I guess, for those who don't know, and I'm one of the founders of what is now Heart Powered Ventures. And I just want to give a little, I like to call it the creation myth of what brought us here, and not just so you have the history, but also there's a tone here. There's a tone, there's a feeling, there's an energetic resonance that I think I help remind myself of when I tell the story. And also, I just want to say one thing that occurred to us when Stephanie and Renee and I were talking before we got started, that there is something about this day that isn't just ceremonial. There's an energetic. When we were talking this morning, we could feel that whatever this is what wants to happen, is what's called for in this moment. And so there's just a great joy that I have, and that you get when you're doing what's yours to do in a particular moment. So thank you for coming here and kind of kicking this thing off. So I had a partner, Justin Minot rather. My phone calls him Minute, but he's actually named Minot. Young black man, and we started this organization, this company called Entrepreneurs, and we were working with spiritually minded entrepreneurial folks. And that's how Judah came in and Samuel came in. And in that process, after George Floyd, we felt we needed to use our platform. We were primarily a podcast platform as well as a membership group. We wanted to respond to that moment. And also I had white business leaders who were coming to me and saying, just kind of, what do we do? What do we do in this moment? What's mine to do? And so we brought some black leaders on and some white business people, and we had a conversation, and it was satisfying in a way, but there was something about it which I'll share now that was dissatisfying. And I felt like the primary emotional tenor was anger and guilt. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of anger, and again, this isn't judgmental. This is diagnostic, okay? Strictly diagnostic. That there was just a lot of anger which was coming through, and actually frustration with some of the panelists. One of the panelists was saying, I don't want to be asked what we should do. I'm tired of white people asking what black people should do. And again, it's not criticism. It's just, this is an honest response in the moment. And then there's just a sense of a lot of white people that have to be business leaders of saying, I don't know what to do. I don't have any black people working for me. I wish I did. I don't know what to do. And so we've continued. We set up a program within our business to work with black entrepreneurs, which Stephanie, I'm not going to pitch it here. Stephanie is the lead person on that and a phenomenal partner in that process. And we also have a program which we call Courageous Conversations. We're going to rebrand it, where we go into businesses and we kind of model what a courageous conversation looks like. We're not doing diversity training. We're not doing sensitivity training. We're just going in there and saying, hey, Stephanie and I can talk about anything, including race. And our conversation includes but transcends that distinction. And so we did that. And then one more piece, and again, bear with me because this is as much for posterity as it is for this moment, is that Stephanie and I were talking last Wednesday. We were getting ready. We were co-leading our Commonwealth meeting, and we were planning on talking about some business thing. And then this was right after the Capitol riots. And Stephanie relayed to me what this moment felt like for her as a black woman and as someone who had one of her employees as like a family member pulled over and eventually killed for having expired tags, and to watch the discrepancy between that and really, and I said, wait a minute. And I got my family. I got my wife and my 2 stepchildren, and Stephanie got her son. And we just had a conversation, not an education, not a dumping of emotions, but just what does it feel like on either side of this to talk this through? And it was just so beautiful. And when we decided we wanted to do something to coincide or to get into the flow of the day, Stephanie suggested this. So that brings us here. And so anyway, there you got the creation myth in what my normal 5 minutes or so. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you and to talk about what we're going to do. Anything you want to talk about, but also to kind of kick off the dialogue here.
Yeah, I'll tell you, last year, Martin Luther King Day, we actually had a celebratory program, if I'm thinking correctly. No, maybe it was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, I attended an event that the Baha'i community in Chatham County gave. And I think it was around Martin Luther King, or yeah, it was Charles gave a talk. And he did something in this meeting that really, like, this was before I knew about um, anything about Baha'i. And he talked about like what it was to do for Black people and for white people. And there was this whole emphasis on interracial unity and like um, meeting people from your heart and being intentional about being in relationship. And so fast forward to now, um, you know, COVID, 2020 was just, oh my gosh, for so many different reasons, just so much loss, so much change, so much instability. And Michael and I, we have our catering company, so we were on the front lines of trying to address needs of preparing meals. And then at the same time, we had completely lost our ability to work. And Rennie, who we go so far back. Rennie was um, the church, like everything. She managed the church at United Church at Chapel Hill, and they have a kitchen there, and that's where Sweeties was born. Like she literally, opened up the space to us in such a welcoming manner. And so Rennie had been reaching out to me a little bit prior before COVID and was like, I want you to come and join this space. And so finally, I said yes. And oh my gosh, it was so phenomenal to, first of all, just from a business perspective, to be able to be inside like this incubator. That's what it is. It's like a network incubator to talk with other business people, to see how they were responding and how we were responding during this time of change. And then there were other Black entrepreneurs that I got to meet in the web. It's called the Web Square. So Wealth Through Entrepreneurs for Black businesses. That we just started supporting each other, meeting weekly, texting. We did a group text, just talking about the challenges, sharing resources that we had. I came into the Commonwealth and oh my gosh, Michael and I were trying to figure out how to change our business model so that we could survive. And Dave just opened up his network. I met with Samuel, and all of a sudden, we were getting connected and developing relationships with people that could help us to transition and move forward. And now, like, there's like some light. Like, we've got 3 supermarkets, we've got a co-packer relationship, and it was just amazing. And I was like, this is what happens when we're intentional about building bridges across these racial divides. And I know that, yes, we should know history, and I know that there's a lot of structural racism that we need to address. I know these things, but I also know that we have an opportunity right now in this moment, coming from our heart, the people that are already resonating with that, to develop, be in relationship with one another, and to start how we want to end. So let's start with unity as a value and a goal, and let's come together around that and be the change that we want to see in our world now. So that's why I'm so happy to be here. And we figured, you know, it's Martin Luther King Day. Let's open up and just have conversations and let people talk. And you know, Sholay and I, we're doing that on. We have our women's group on the weekend, and you know, it's just a joyful space and the support, just feeling supported. You know, Dave, you were saying that, you know, the anger and the guilt, yeah, they're feelings, and you know, and you can justify your feelings, but we can't stay there. It's not going to get us anywhere. Like, it's just not. We have to put out this darkness with love. And so that's all I have. I'm just really glad to be here.
So how would you like to kick this off, Stephanie? I'm going to put this back into your hands.
So I guess just everyone have a chance to just weigh in, check in. How are you? Where are you um, on this special day? You know, how are you thinking about things? And there's no wrong answers. You know, just please just share your thoughts and your energy.
Well, I'll start. I'm in Carver. I've been trying to Luther King Day. For me, I didn't grow up with that celebration. However, while here in America, at the beginning, I didn't understand well what was this about. I know that sometimes we have important people that we have celebrations, but America is one of the, I think, the fewest country that has less holidays in a year. And I was thinking, well, like Colombia have like, I think 120 days celebrations a year, something like that. So I was saying why America has those few holidays, and one of them is the Martin Luther King celebration. So I began to learn a lot about him, but I think more importantly was to make that connection with minorities and vulnerable people, and that led me to understand a little bit better the history of Black American. And I saw how similar is the story of immigrants, and in fact, Afro Americans are immigrants who were, you know, the whole story. But you know, always making that connection, that was for me was very important. So what are the similarities that we have, and as a Latino, and how can we make sense of that? So that really triggers my imagination and my thirsty for finding information, and get informed and get educated about that. So now for me, this day has become more than a holiday. It really resonates in my whole life, my whole soul. I became a very passionate about Dr. King's life and his legacy, and how right he was, how his vision still lives but resonates in our struggles, and just thinking about this sense of, without having putting him in a position of Messiah, but how close we were to a person who was really understanding the inner problems of America. So I know that after all these 4 years, um, Latinos, we have suffered a lot in that here, and I know that all people of color has done that, but Latino has been suffering a lot, specifically with the separation of families and the border, and how the words of Martin Luther King can really give us hope during these times. And I tell you, during all these 4 years, Martin Luther King has been a pivot, like a kind of source of wisdom and hope, to to the Latino community, and that's and I don't think much about how can we fix this or how can we rebuild this, because this is not a problem of 4 years. Is a problem that goes beyond, and it's like an allergic reaction, and that comes out in and out, and fades out and then comes back. And I know that solutions could be more deep than we can imagine, but I think that's why it's so important to understand that it's about an internal change. It's about us. It's about that kind of energy, the kind of spirit we want to, how we want to illuminate the world, and and uh, and that's how I think every day um, I just wake up with a sense of thankful, but gratitude, but at the same time gratitude as today for Dr. King. Um, I had a very, let me tell you a story. I was taking a class um, in a seminary, and there was a there was a person there who was um, expressing her differences with Martin Luther King. Um, and I was just listening to that. And this is an American who was born here, were born here, and understood what would happen. And I was just thinking about why it's so hard for a person to understand this message. It is so clear and so clear, and there's no doubt of this. And I asked him, what? I'm just curious why you're still struggling with Martin Luther King in his personality, his ministry, etc. And that person says to me, I don't know. It's just that I don't like him. And then when he said that to me, I don't know. He said, I just that I don't like him. It was like a kind of repetitive message of, I don't really care if I understand. It's just what I feel, and this is what it means. Is a lot of work to do. Is a lot of raise the level of consciousness on people to understand that it's not about my feelings, but it's about my contribution to the world. Is what can I do to make of this world a better world? What can I do to be this good neighbor, good brother and sister that this world needs from me, um, independently of my faith, independently of how I understand the divine. That's not the point. The point is how, in this short period of time, how can I do of this better a better world? Um,
David, I want to just interject something here, and that is, and again, everyone, you're welcome to stay. We slotted people a half hour just to get, but please, just nobody needs to go anywhere. But I just want to say something, and that is that I like to say that authenticity is contagious, and so I just want to thank you for kicking us off with authenticity and with uh, setting the tone.
sure.
So it's still open up. I actually have a question for you. So you what works? So you work with the LBGT community, right? That's part of your ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So what works? You can't preach people into just taking that as another one. You can't preach people into. You can't argue people into it. You can't shame people into opening their heart. What works? What works for you?
I think that what really has worked for me is compassion. Um, I think that have learned to express my feelings, express my ministry, my call in life, my mission, how things should be. I think it should be. I think through the lenses of compassion. I don't even think about the things that blocks us from being together, but just a sense of being compassionate. Is I don't know how is to be in your position. Is it hard for me to really understand your place? But I can be in solidarity with you. I can really love you, and I can really feel your pain, and I'm trying to do something. So, so I think that that has been my issue. Even when I'm a heterosexual, and I cannot understand some of their own struggles, it doesn't stop me for being compassionate and show that kind of love that they need.
David, that was beautiful. And yeah, I feel your words in my heart, and I'm so glad you're here. And we've got some new folks. Phil is here. Hey, Phil. And Nasum, am I saying Newsome? Newsome, welcome, welcome. So we're just.
Stephanie, I'm sorry. I wanted to figure out Newsome over. I don't know where he is. That David who just spoke is one of the pastors at the church. Is it Church of Christ?
United Church of Chapel Hill. Yeah.
And Newsome is the chief minister and all around dictator of the Unity Church of the Triangle. So we have.
Hey, nice. And I want to introduce Phil. Phil, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Hi, Stephanie. Great to be here. And what a place to be in this heartfelt center. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. And can you just introduce yourself to everyone?
I'm Phil Cantor. I'm living in Chapel Hill, on the close to Pittsburgh. And I've just a joy to be in this community. I've been here about 2.5 years, and my life has brought me all over the world. And so I really believe that humanity is one. I've experienced it in my own heart, and I grew up in many cultures, and I feel at one with everyone.
Awesome. So we're just sharing about, how you're feeling on this special day, a day of a peacemaker, a lover of people, a lover of truth and justice. And we've got a lot going on, in our country here in the United States. And so we're just weighing in. There's no right or wrong answers. We're just talking. We're just connecting. So whoever wants to go next, please just feel free.
So I'm Sholay Dadrasan. I mentioned I live in Chatham County, a friend of Stephanie's. I grew up as a Baha'i, and I was born in Iran and moved to Lebanon and lived in England. And I wasn't around a lot of race, to be honest. There was people that were just like me. So when I moved to the US, I went to school. I went to school in Texas, Hispanics, mostly Latin American, and people always thought I was Hispanic. And then more recently, North Carolina. And I think as a Baha'i, we believe in the unity of all humanity, that all are one. But one of the things that I've learned, and I'm reflecting on it today, is I used to say things such as, I don't see color, those kinds of things. And I think I've had to learn and listen to my friends, people like Stephanie and others that I work with in my company, that even by saying that I don't see color to someone who's African-American is discounting them, because of course, if you don't see color, then, but I think people understand the intention behind it. And I've learned that by me saying I don't see color can be, uncomfortable for some people. I've learned about microaggressions. I used to always comment on women's hair, African-American women's hair, because that was different than mine. Commented on just different things. And I think I work for a big pharmaceutical company, and this is our 3rd year celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday, and the company's closed. We're a UK-based firm, but 3 years ago, the group in the US kept saying, guys, this is a really important day. We need to have this day off. So I think, David, you were mentioning Colombia, you have a lot of holidays. We don't have a lot in the US. I lived in Cyprus, and there was a holiday for every conquistador who invaded Cyprus. There was a vacation or holiday. And to have a Martin Luther King holiday now in the US is such a for us at GSK, I work for GlaxoSmithKline, was a huge win for the African American, for the Hispanic community, for the minorities, and it feels like that we're respected and loved, and he's cherished, and people are taking the day off. So I was out and about today. Stephanie had sent me the invite, and I thought, what a better space to actually really celebrate his life, and to not just let it be a vacation day and where I do laundry and cook food for my family, but to really start thinking about what can I do personally. And Stephanie and I working on a few things together. We'll always continue to find things to work on together to promote race unity and connecting as one Baha'i, one world, one global Christian, Jewish, you know, all of it for me is the same. They all come from the same source. We all want the same thing. I just come at it from a different, you know, upbringing. So just really wonderful to be here, and I'm connecting with people to do this work. So thank you, Stephanie and David, for hosting this.